agent, we realized we could use the same code to make our presentation, and that would also allow us to demonstrate some of the features during the presentation directly from the game. So if you can start that, please. So here's our loading screen that we had. And there's an intro, and then this is the menu that they use to start the game or exit.
Okay, so this is our question screen, and this appears several times throughout our game. We'll have the question up there, and all the answers on these 4 blocks here. And down here we'll have these 3 bars here, or these 2 bars here. This one on top will explain how many questions you have left until your next objective of the game. And this one on the bottom will tell you how many you can miss before the game is over. So, for instance, if you were to get the first question wrong, this here would tell you only have 2 more left until your objective. And this says you can only miss 7 for the rest of the game. Now, if you were to get it right, on the other hand, obviously the first one would go up and the bottom one would stay still because you didn't miss it. Okay, so, Andrew, did we just copy any game show?
Nope, we did not.
So, who wants to be a millionaire? Everyone is familiar with game shows like this where players have to answer questions. At first, we thought this would make an excellent format for an FBLA trivia game, but we decided to take a different approach.
Mari, what kind of game did we end up making?
We created a story.
We knew we didn't just want to copy any game show, but on the other hand, it still had to be a game. Ultimately, we wanted it to be interesting and to make the player think. Andrew, how much of the work was actually planning this game?
Not all of it, but certainly a lot.
We decided the gameplay would follow a storyline, where the player was rewarded for correct answers with progress in the story. Thus it became an interactive adventure. Mari, did we have specific objectives for the technical aspects of this game?
Yes, we did. With regards to input and output, the game had to be graphic in nature. We decided that both with visuals and audio, the game would be more immersive. And lastly, we decided that the configuration had to be as external as possible, so we created a game engine.
Andrew, were we able to achieve these objectives?
Absolutely. We were able to achieve our input and output objectives by using a mouse to control the game. We also used standard Java libraries to do the video and audio so that it would be fast and portable, and we used as many external files as possible to control the engine.
Mari, how well did we achieve these objectives?
We achieved these objectives very well. The result of this was a point-and-click adventure. It was fast and easily moved to many different kinds of computers. And lastly, the external files made it easier to work on.
Andrew, who appears in the intro?
Characters from the game do.
First, the player arrives at a loading screen. Then, they're moved to an introduction screen which slowly reveals the title of the game. Afterwards, they end up at a start screen where they can begin the game.
Mari, how does FBL Agent set itself to run?
With the external files.
It reads the initial configuration file to tell it where everything is during that loading screen you saw earlier, and then it displays the intro images while playing the intro music. After that, it reads another external configuration file to build that menu that the player uses.
Andrew, what does the gameplay consist of?
It's an action-filled adventure.
Images are shown along with audio throughout the game to tell a story. The story is broken up by question screens to achieve certain objectives. When the players answer too many questions wrong, or they reach the end of the game, a game over screen is shown, followed by the credits. Mari, does it require software besides Java?
No, it doesn't.
As I said, it uses standard Java libraries to load into configurations, audio, and video. And for questions, it reads a questions file, and then uses a question screen to work with the user input. And then after that, it goes on to the next set of slides.
Andrew, how was the gameplay data stored?
It was both external files and in the program. Some of the data was in external files, like the questions that were read by the engine. Others were stored in memory, like the score. That depended on whether or not it would need to be read later on. The score did not, so it was erased after the game was finished.
Mari, what format did we use to store the audio in?
We saved it in WAV format.
We used a high-quality format for our audio, and it was put in the game as it was needed, using a standard library that just came with Java. And Andrew, what format did we store the images in?
we used a PNG format. We chose PNG because, unlike other formats, it doesn't lose quality with compression, and it also has a small file size. It prefetches the images so that it can be displayed without having any lag from loading. And we also get rid of the images from memory after they're used, so it doesn't take as much memory for the whole program.
Mari, who is the target audience for this documentation? Programmers, players, or both?
Both. The documentation tells the user how to install the program and how to run it. This makes FBLA Agent very easy to use.
Andrew, what format did the documentation get stored in?
We used HTML and text. I used HTML because it makes it possible to link between different parts of the documentation. I documented every Java class that I wrote for the game and what it did, and I also wrote about all of the external configuration files and how to write new ones.
Mari, all in all, what have we created?
A fun and educational game.
Ultimately, we created a game that taught the player some really cool facts about FBLA. It also revealed a storyline to keep the player involved. This made the game both educational and entertaining. Thank you. That's the end of our presentation. Is there any questions?
You mentioned the objective. What would you say is the objective of your game? In the end, what would you say?
To get through it without missing too many questions. If you miss too many questions, it shows a game over screen that you lost and you have to start over.
Could you show me some more of how it works on the back end? Do you have the code on hand?
I actually do have it. Was there anything in particular you wanted to see?
No, I just wanted to see like the general organization. Just the classes.
So I had a framework, and each package handled different things. The audio package handled loading audio and whatnot. The data handled information stored in the game, like the score and the location of files. The gameplay was a class that was used to display things like the menu or game entities, which were basically slides or question sets. Those are two subparts of gameplay. And then I/O handled the reading of the files. It parsed the configuration files to generate the objects in Java. Is there anything else? We're good? Ready?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.